Hello everyone, my name is Beckett and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a great day. Today is that time of the week. We have Division news, we got a whole roundup, a bunch of maintenance, known bugs, and Massive actually gave us some details on the Shade Expose event. I did a video, but they're never really clear on the details, pretty much on anything from the get-go. And we got a lot more information on the global event. And we will get into all of that, but first, if you like the content, hit that subscribe. And if you like the videos, hit that like. We got tutorial, we got builds, new players, old players. We got something for everybody. So let's get into this. All right, first thing first. So we had some maintenance earlier in this week and they fixed a lot of issues. Some of the main issues were basically people were getting stuck in the manhunt cutscene and would just play on loop and you'd have to hit Alt F4 or I guess just throw a rock through your console. And that was no fun at all. And the Shade Watch was broken and I'm a fairly new player to Division 2, played Division 1 long time, but I saw the Shade Watch was thing. I thought it was just part of the manhunt, and after it finished, you know, after we killed all four and the main boss, it would just go away. But I guess it was a bug, so it is fixed now, so we can actually see our shade level and kind of interact with it. And they also fixed an issue where some recalibrated weapons were showing multiple weapon damage, and I thought that was just something to do with Hunter's Fury as well. I was like, oh, it's just showing my buff damage with Hunter's Fury because I've just been running SMG non-stop. I don't know about you guys, how you guys been feeling about this new season, but I am loving Chatterbox. I'm loving my Vector again, and I'm loving the backfire. There's a lot of great weapons out there, and I'm having so much fun in this season. It's just really fun just to go balls to the walls non-stop. They also fixed the shields in PvP. So since, I guess, probably since TU11 launched, the shields were supposed to be nerfed to where they are at, like in PvE, but in PvP, no way, man. They were still rocking, and we have pulse jammer and stuff like that to deal with it. But it's still a pain when if you had a couple shield boys level 1, and if your pulse jammer don't work or whatever, and they're running resist, it's just a pain in my butt. And so now they fix that, and all shields are going to take the amount of damage they should. Now we have some bugs with this patch, and there's bugs with every patch in every game. That's okay, but it kind of sucks that it's happening right with the Shade Expose, and we're having a bug with that. Basically, the total discharge, it's a pulse that you pulse the enemies and they pulse you, along with the exposure icons. They're not showing up when you do like cover to cover, so you don't really know what's going on, and it really sucks, and it's kind of making the event not fun to play, as well as the other mechanics involved in this event, coupling with everything that we got in the season pass. It's like you want us to cover, but then you give us all this gear where we were supposed to be running and gunning, so it kind of defeats the purpose. Now, another couple huge bugs is basically global directives sometimes just aren't working for people. I wasn't able to replicate this, and I have not had this happen to me. But it's basically when you're in a group, someone gives you a party lead, you give party lead back, and I guess the directive, they're just not working at all. As well as loot tables are just not working for containers and legendary missions. So legendary missions are a pain in themselves, and sometimes there's not enough loot dropping inside them, and it's not what you want always. And if they're not dropping good gear out of those boxes, it just defeats the purpose, and it's like, why am I doing this? Anyways, you shouldn't even be doing legendary missions. Honestly, guys, you should be running in the summit right now. If it's targeted loot and you need it, head up in there. Alright, now with the raid, there's also loot issues in there. When player signs out before the furnace explosion, you're not able to pick up loot, see loot, do anything like that. As well as level 40 players can join level 30 raid, and it doesn't scale or do anything, so I guess you could technically carry your friends straight through the raid if you wanted to. Yeah, you might want to do that with another account and get a free Eagle Bearer. Who knows? Now, the summit. I haven't had too many issues, except I've noticed, like, there's been spawning of enemies, like 5 feet behind me, and I'm like, that's weird. And even no fog of war, and you can't even say, and I just turn around, and I just killed a dude there. I turn around, and he just, like, pops up. As well as not being able to interact with multiple objectives, like the laptops and stuff. I had trouble. I had to like jump on some weird boxes and stuff just to interact with it. And if it had just been totally broken, I probably would have just like screw the summit. I am out UI issues with it as well. So hopefully they get these issues fixed. It's just not being able to interact with objectives. That was a big thing for me, because if it just stopped my progress, yeah, I'd be like, screw this, man, I'm out. I'm gonna go play a different activity, do something else in the game, head to the dark zone. I'll have better luck there. And we have problems with memento. I don't know about you guys, but I have noticed when you are stacking memento, after it gets to 30 stacks, sometimes it just won't stack anymore. You have to wait for it to run out and restack, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the backpack. So I've been kind of pushing myself away for it, as well as Hunter Fury, but I think they fixed it, but I'm not sure. It would just like disappear, and I had to unequip and equip a gear set piece to make it work again, because the debuff just wasn't showing up even if I was on top of the enemy. And a couple days after the patch, we got a stealth nerf to the XP on Convoy resource activities. If you didn't know, I put a video up and you were able to farm like the season pass in like 5-6 hours. And I think like the next day or this, it was like the second or third day of the patch, because I noticed it and I was like, it's getting weird XP. So I had to do heroic. I just went and did heroic convoys, and they still give good XP, and you can still run them 5 directives. I wouldn't run less than 4 directives, and I think I'm going to have another video out for you guys on how to farm XP quickly and efficiently. Even though that's nerf, I think we're still going to be able to do it a certain way, fastly and effectively, and probably with less directives, but we are just going to have to wait for that to come out. Now, global events, the big one. I've seen a lot of people just not knowing what to do, don't understand what it says, or not even be able to get into the menu and like understand the wording, because sometimes the wording is not that great. They should just say, oh, it does this, it does that, you need to do this, but they weren't really specific with those details. So let's get specific. With Shade Exposed, your agent will build up exposure and incoming damage debuff wherever you are in line of sight of enemies. So that means you peek, whatever. If they can see you and they have a line of sight on you, basically like a pulse. They can't pulse you behind cover, but they can pulse you anywhere else. So it works the same way as a pulse would. And the more line of sight you are, and the longer exposure will build up faster and faster while moving and around combat. So like I said, it kind of defeats the purpose. And I wasn't having fun. I didn't really want to do like a skill build. I was having so much fun with SMGs. So, but you can transfer exposure to enemies in several different ways. You can transfer all your stacks to a single enemy with a melee attack. Like I said before, Sweet Dreams is great for this. A cover-to-cover move to transfer stacks to all enemies in the area, or you can eliminate an enemy with stacks to spread their stacks to other targets in the area. And I don't remember seeing that in there, but that is a cool thing. So you just transfer a stack to somebody, and if it's a grouped up, you use it like an AoE or like you would do a status effect build, and boom, everybody's got it, and you can just nuke the group really quickly. Now, enemies take increasing bonus damage based on how much exposure they've inflicted upon them. So juggling your own exposure is what they're saying, while making sure the enemies are all covered is the trick of the event. But I think they just kind of missed the mark just a little bit of the event, because it's just not really that fun. That's where we're at with that. Now, with other global events, they've left some things in the patch notes, and I didn't really cover that, so we'll go over that for the upcoming. So for the Guardians global event, the buff provided from killing a Guardian Angel now grants the ability to penetrate Guardian protection. In addition, the buff renews its duration with each kill, permitting agents to chain kill throughout entire fire teams without necessarily defeating all Guardians first. So that's a cool. They're actually making us feel a little more powerful. So it's not like the global event shouldn't feel so punching. It should be something fun. We want to go and get those named caches, especially if we don't want to be in the DZ and we want to get that DZ gear. And it says, additionally, defeating all Guardians in a fire team now prevents the surviving members from gaining protection for amount of time based on their veterancy. Just depends what are they, elites, whatever it may be. If are they normal, just red bar, enemies, health, or are they max elite named enemies? Standard enemies will not be able to receive protection for a long time. So that's a good thing. It's a short buff on them, so we don't have to worry about that as much. Named enemies can regain protection quite quickly. So probably 5 seconds. It's really quick. But they also mention melee attacks against protected enemies will briefly rob those enemies of their protection. So you could go in, get a hit in. If it was a red bar, you could use Sweet Dreams, but I know I got a hard on for the Sweet Dreams, but you could go in, hit them, and then just destroy them instantly. And that's everything we have for the Guardians Global event. Now let's get into Polarity Switch. The shock for shooting opposite polarity enemies has been removed. Before, every time you would shoot up, you would get shocked. And it would just be a pain. It was just not fun to do, so nobody turned on. And values for the strength of the stacking buff have been updated to provide significant power boost to agents. So we'll find out when it comes out. So hopefully we feel like just a beast mode. Just imagine running Hunter's Fury, but all buffed up, and you're just like, you're destroying everything. Okay, so the next global event, Reanimated. The changes that they made to Reanimated are probably the best changes they made overall to all the global events, and I'm very happy to see this go forward. I just can't wait for this event to come. So the green cloud produced by killing enemies with a headshot no longer harms agents. Awesome feature. If they just did that alone, that would be perfect. But now the cloud also will heal us and provide a significant boost to our firepower. It just says firepower, so it doesn't say all damage, so skill builds, I'm guessing it doesn't. It's just, we're going to go in there, we can heal up, do our close range builds, our AR, SMG builds, red builds, and just go to town while we're sending into it. Also, the green cloud will harm enemies significantly. So I'm guessing it's just going to be dropping those red bars that come and rush us, the rushers. So we can use this to different ways. And I could even imagine if we can turn this on in the dark zone, it could be quite fun in landmarks, if you know what I mean. So what they basically said at global events were aimed at giving player power, but it just doesn't feel that way. Maybe their communication in details with the global events or just the entire game in general, they have never been that great in that department, and it's almost impossible to know what to do at endgame without going through like every patch note. I felt lost as like a Division 1 veteran when I finally came over to Division 2, and I couldn't even imagine what it might be like for someone that is new to this series. They would just be completely lost. I mean, back in the day before, you would start a new character, you leveled, you went through World Tier 1 through 5, and then Warlords of New York came out, and it in itself could be overwhelming. And now you have people jumping straight to Warlords of New York, all that other content that they should be doing and they should know, like Cassie and all this other stuff, is just completely lost, and they're level 40, and they have no idea what to do. Their builds, everything. It's just got to be a terrible experience overall. But mostly all the overall changes to the game are great, and moving forward, they continue to make better changes. Sure, there'll be missteps and other things moving forward, but as you can see with Rainbow Loot, all these other devices on the game, the summit, and what they do with it is up to them. Like I said, this is a chance for them to make something really awesome in the end game, or just something that will gather dust again. And now we have Legendary being a lot more accessible to a lot more of the people with Summit out there. It's a lot more easier just to jump into a level, and if you fail, you fail. Oh well, you're there. You don't have to worry about people just leaving the group all the time just because your shade level's too low, or you don't have that effective a build because you don't know what you're building in a Legendary scenario. It can just be a pain, and hopefully the casual player base will experience this, and hopefully they'll just be more driven to experience that end game content that we all love and we know, whether it's the Dark Zone, the Raid, or just pushing Legendary missions, Legendary Summit, just getting to the top. It's a great and fun experience, and I think all of us want everyone to experience that at the end of the day. But that's all we have for today for Division News, global events, all that fun stuff. Soon, I think tomorrow, I have a new build video coming out with some other stuff. We are continuing our 100 series, but that's it from me today, so I will see you guys next time.